Hello and welcome to the Girl That Went For It podcast. I'm your host, Johanna Scholz, also known as Johanna Liana on Instagram, and author of Believe in Life, How to Dance in the Rain. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, Johanna_Liana, for daily content. And now enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to today's episode. Today I want to talk about a contradictive topic, or you probably are wondering or thinking that doesn't make sense, but it does make so much sense. So today I want to talk about you don't need to know the end goal. So whatever your dream is, you don't need to know the end goal, or you don't need to know how to get to the end goal. You don't have to have it all figured out. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I am at the moment offering my New Zealand course, like moving to New Zealand, connecting with you girls that want to move to New Zealand and want to make it happen. And I just know how many questions you have before doing this, because I was there, I had the same questions. But looking back at my journey, looking back at the last 5 years, looking at my old YouTube videos, listening to my podcast, that was only a year ago, but more likely watching my old YouTube videos, I just realized, I'm just so grateful. I'm just so thankful. I'm just so amazed by how amazing my life turned out. I visualized my dream life. I have a vision board. I have a journal, and I knew how I wanted my life to feel like and look like, but I never knew how to get there. I didn't know all the steps. I didn't know how, when I left Germany, I had no idea how I am going to get residency one day. I just knew I had to start, that I have to take the first step to make it happen. And that's with any goal. I feel like a lot of people don't even start because they feel like they don't know all the steps to get to the end goal. But yeah, I'm going to talk about this today. But before I talk about this, I thought I'd give you a little life update, what's been happening over the past few weeks. So last week I was quite sick, so that's maybe not the nicest update, but I haven't been that sick in such a long time. I had a sore throat. I couldn't do anything. I had no energy. One thing I realized then again is that once health is taken from us, once we're sick, we appreciate our health so much more. I'm a really grateful person, and I journal and I write what I'm grateful for every day, but it just makes you realize more and more how grateful you can be for your health, for your body, what your body does for you every day. And yeah, I'm feeling better now. I even played soccer on Sunday, which was 4 days after, I can't remember, that I literally was absolutely doing nothing, and I really needed that. I really needed a day of doing nothing, binge watching something, sleeping. I was so glad that I was feeling better because I really enjoy playing football. That's a hobby I picked up this year again, and I realized how much I missed it. And I actually did an episode about hobbies, so check it out here. I'll take it down below, or if you're watching the YouTube one, you can probably check out here somewhere. In that podcast episode, I talk about how hobbies can make you feel better, how hobbies can make your life better, how hobbies can give you purpose, and so on and so forth. Especially working in the online space, where I use Instagram or social media, record things. I feel like in my free time, I just don't want to be on my phone, and I want to do something that's happening in the real life. And I said this before and I said this again, scrolling on Instagram, what you see on Instagram and in general, being on social media is not really being present in the here and now. And yes, there's nothing wrong with scrolling on social media. I love it. I do this for a living. And I love how we can connect with people. I love how we can find things online, watching, wedding stuff. I can just find so much on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, TikTok. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I just want you to remember that the real life is happening outside of your phone. The real life, the happiest moments are when you're not on your phone. Happy moments can be when you FaceTime your friends and family, but I just want to remind you that the happiest moments are the moments, if you look back at your life, the happiest moments weren't when you were on your phone, right? So just a little reminder here. But yeah, so that's been happening over the past few weeks. I've been playing soccer, football, however you want to call it, and I really enjoy it. I've been living out my creativity on creating content, working with brands, which I really enjoy. It's so nice to work with local brands and test their products and then share my experience on social media. So so I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying social media is bad, because otherwise I wouldn't be here talking to you guys, sharing my experience, sharing my thoughts, sharing my hopefully wisdom, and motivating you to live your best life. So yeah, these things have been happening, and I started my New Zealand course with some of you that want to make it happen. I also started the Mindful Collective, as you can see here in the background. The Mindful Collective is a platform where you can join and connect with me. We do monthly coaching calls about mindset, about achieving your goals, whatever it is that you want to achieve, living more positive, because the goal should be to live your best life, and everyone's best life definition is different. That's why it's so important to work on your definition of best life, and that's all happening in a Mindful Living Collective. You have access to monthly coaching calls, you even have access to book a one-on-one with me. You have access to mindful tools and so on and so forth, and I really am so happy that I decided to create this so I can connect with you, because you can see my stuff on social media, you can watch my YouTube videos, you can listen to my podcast, but I tell you that coaching sessions, like jumping in a call, being there when I teach you about your mindset, you can connect with others in the course about limiting beliefs, about what you're going through, and just knowing you're not alone, and also motivating each other, plus the accountability, because we are in end of May. So probably when I upload this, it's June, so 6 months into 2024. And I just want you to reflect on the past few months. Have you changed something, or are you still in the same patterns that you actually start of the year wanted to change? If that's the case, and you want to change something, you really want to change your life and live your most authentic life, live your most aligned life, live your best life, join the Mindful Collective, join for 3 months, 3 life calls, access to recordings, access to exercises, and so on and so forth. So if you want to change your mindset, the Mindful Living Collective is the place to be, and I can't wait to connect with you. But yeah, let's talk about the topic of this episode. You don't need to know your end goal. You don't need to know how to get to your end goal. Because what I experienced in my coachings, or also in this New Zealand course that I'm now offering as well, that a lot of people don't even start because they don't know how to get to the end goal. And I find it so sad that so many people miss the opportunity to go for it, to follow their goals, because they just don't know how to get to the end goal, or not knowing how to get to the end goal is stopping them from even starting. There is this saying about you don't need to take the whole staircase, just take the first step, or something like this. And I think, and I couldn't agree more to this saying, because taking the first step will get you out of your comfort zone, will make you realize, wow, this wasn't that hard. I can take the next step and the next step. And out of a sudden you're on the top of the staircase and you reached your goal. So I see this in so many things in my life. First of all, moving to New Zealand. I went back to my old YouTube videos and looked at like old videos where I talked about me going back to New Zealand, where I talked about my first year in New Zealand. And I just see how much I've grown. And in the past 5 years since moving to New Zealand, my life, I could have never imagined in my wildest dreams that it would happen how it happened, like how it turned out. Of course, I always say, have a vision board, have a vision, visualize your dream life. And I did, obviously. I'm a big believer of visualizing and knowing how you want your life to look like, feel like. But there's a difference from visualizing how you want your life to look and feel like. It's more about the feeling here. There's a difference between that, visualizing how you want your life to look like, feel like. Sorry, when I say look, I mean feel. Compared to knowing how your life is gonna take its turns and paths, you know what I mean? Because we can't predict the future. We can't predict what exactly is gonna happen the next year. We can't predict what opportunities will come up. But what we can do is believe, and knowing in a way of believing that great opportunities will pop up, that amazing things are going to happen. And staying in this mindset of, I know this is possible for me, I know that I can achieve my goal, will help you so much taking the first step. So talking about my moving to New Zealand journey, for example, I knew how I wanted my life to feel like. I knew that I wanted to live here. I could visualize it, I could feel it, but did I know how to get there? No. And honestly, if I had waited until I knew how exactly everything's gonna work out and what visa comes next and what do I do after that, then I probably would have never have started going for it, because I didn't know when I came to New Zealand on my visitor visa, I didn't know what my next visa was gonna be. I had options. I'm obviously prepared myself and thought about options, and turned out to go with a totally different option that wasn't even on my list. Then I had my student visa for 3 years, and I knew there were options, and I knew that after the 3 years I might be able to do this, that, or that, but I haven't had it all planned out. So I didn't know when I left Germany how exactly I'm gonna make it work. I just knew I had to take the first step. I obviously want to talk to anyone who's listening, but I also wanted to mention here, I'm 28 and I can talk about my past experience, and I can talk about my past experience, or I can talk about my 20s. And I feel like your 20s are the years where you can just go for it. Obviously, I also want to encourage people in their 30s and their 40s to go for it, but I just want to say here, I haven't lived my 30s and my 40s yet, so if you think, oh, it sounds so naive what you're saying, maybe I do sound naive, but I just want to, is that how you say it in English, naive? That's how you say it in German. Anyway, but I just want to say here, like, if you're in your 20s, and hopefully also you will do this if you're just at the start of your 30s, in your 30s, I think you should just go for it. I think you should just do the first step. Don't stay in your secure, safe bubble, because you're not here on this earth to stay in your comfort zone, to stay where you are every day. You're here to grow. You're here to live your best life. I can't say this often enough. I'm definitely going to say this in every episode, but you're here to live your best life. I don't know what you're waiting for. You're here to create the best life possible for you. No one else is going to do it for you. And if you're not here to live your dream, to live what you want in your life, what are you here for? Like, I really want you to get to know that you have this beautiful gift called life. Do something with it. I just said it earlier when I was sick. I just realized how grateful we can be, or I can be, for my health. And I hope that if you're listening, you will appreciate how precious life is and how important it is to go for your dreams, go for your goals, go for gold. I want to share some more examples of my life where I didn't know how to get to the end goal, but I just started. So the first thing was moving overseas. The second thing is writing my first book. I literally just decided to start writing. I didn't know yet back when I started writing the chapters, when I spent an evening writing, I didn't know how I'm going to publish it. But I knew that I would be able to do it one day. I knew that there will be ways to publish my book. But I also knew if I would spend hours on trying to figure out how to publish my book, I would have stayed stuck in motion, like trying to figure out how to publish it, and maybe I would have gotten really overwhelmed and frustrated and then just decided not to write it. But instead of being in motion, I decided to take action, and I decided to just start writing my book. And I knew that the more I would write and the more effort and the more heart I will put into this, I will find ways. And I also knew me putting it out there, saying I'm writing a book, like on Instagram, to friends, to people at work, I knew that this will open up opportunities, because talking about it, maybe people knew someone who published a book, and that would give me the opportunity to talk to that person and figure out how they've done it. But if I had never started writing a book, I probably and would have been stuck in looking how to do it, how to publish it. I probably would have never talked to people that I am writing a book, and they never really figured out ways how to publish it. You know what I'm trying to say here? If you never start and you're just like trying to figure out how to get to the end goal, like if you never really take the first step, it'll never gonna happen. And that's with moving overseas for me. This is my personal experience. So that's with moving overseas, writing my book, starting to work for myself. This actually goes back a long time, because if I really think about when I started working for myself, that was 2015 when I had my first collab on Instagram. I never thought about back then that Instagram would ever be like a place to make money. I was 18, 19 back then when I had my first paid collab, and this never came to my mind. I mean, nowadays it's so normal, but I just started posting on Instagram back then, you know, and that's how it and that's how it evolved and created that space. I feel like nowadays it's quite hard to not think about the fact that you can make money online on social media, but back then the reality wasn't created yet. Like back then I didn't know that yet, and it wasn't that advanced, or social media wasn't that big of a thing back then. Although I always thought like this is something, or like surely social media will be there forever or just evolve. But I also remember back then people would say something like, don't invest that much time in there, who knows how long it's going to be around. If you think back now, like 10 years later, oh my gosh, I'm 28, 9 years later, how we can't really picture a life without social media anymore, which sounds a bit sad saying that, but how it evolved and how brands and companies are using social media. Coming to the next point that I want to talk about is starting my own business on social media, like starting coaching sessions on social media. If I had waited and wondered, how can I get clients? How can I reach my goal of making I don't know how much money a month? If I had waited until I had figured that out, I probably would have never started when I had started. Does that make sense? So what I did, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I literally just started. I created an Instagram account. I started putting my tips out there. I started sharing what I know. I started offering coachings, and that's how it happened. That's how I started building my business. It wasn't that I started my business and had all these clients and made this end goal income that I had. So that's with everything, every goal that you have. You don't have to know exactly how to get to the end goal, because that's often stopping you from even starting. And I'm not saying like that you should, every idea you have of a business, or every impulsive idea you have of moving somewhere, you should do this straight away. Obviously, think it through. But if this is calling your name, if like your goal, like the goal you thought about and the goal that really sets your heart on fire, if that's really calling your name, take the first step. Don't look at the whole staircase. Don't try to figure out the exact way how you're gonna do it. Just simply start. I know I'm like from Germany, and I know that a lot of Europeans, I feel like, want to know exactly how something is gonna work. My friend from the Netherlands, who also moved to New Zealand and we met here, we just sometimes say we're so European, we want to know exactly how things are going to work instead of just going with the flow. But Kiwi lifestyle is really making you go with the flow. But if I learn one thing from my whole life, from every goal that I achieved, it's I never knew the exact way how to get to the end goal. I knew what I wanted. I visualized having it, living the goal, living the dream. I visualized that. I knew it was possible for me, but I left the how open because I wanted every possible opportunities coming my way. Because the other thing is, if you're so focused on one how, on one way how you will get there, it will stop you from seeing all the other possibilities that are out there for you. It will stop you from having amazing conversations and seeing opportunities popping up because you're so focused on this one way how you're going to do it. And then if this one way doesn't work out, you are probably going to be so gutted and disappointed and not even trying. So I just want you to know the how doesn't matter. The way to get there doesn't matter or is not as important as taking the first step. I want to share one more fun fact here before I end this episode, and that is something that I realized in my coaching sessions, whether it's one-on-one coaching, whether it's the Mindful Collective, whether it is one-on-one coaching, whether it's the Mindful Living Collective, my monthly calls, and so on and so forth, is that often we know how we don't want our life to look like, or we can visualize things that we don't want to happen. For example, you enter a new relationship or you start dating someone and you're like, oh, I don't want this to turn out the way my last relationship turned out, or I don't want him to do stupid things, whatever. Like, we can, for some reason, and I'm going to tell you why, visualize all the things we don't want, and that is because of past experience that we experienced or of things that we got told in the past. That's why we often can visualize all the things we don't want based on past experiences. And I know that for a lot of people it's hard to picture and visualize their dream life because they haven't been to that place yet. They haven't been to achieving this thing. They haven't probably heard stories of people achieving this because all they did was hearing limiting beliefs, old stories, people not achieving their dream, your past experience, things not working out, like a relationship, for example. So that's why a lot of people stay stuck. That's why a lot of people stay stuck in their current state and not growing and not seeing like what's possible because they only see what they know. And that's why visualization is so powerful, and it takes practice, it takes time to be able to visualize something that you haven't experienced yet. That's why vision boards are amazing, because you can really see it. You can put it somewhere where you see it daily and you sit in front of it and you try to really visualize what you have on your vision board for your life. You try really to see it, to feel it, and to live it in your head. I'm going to talk about this topic, visualization, really working on this future for you and picturing that future for you in Mindful Living Collective, in my monthly coaching calls. I'm going to add the link below. It is only for limited spots, so click the link below and sign up for the 3 months for only €38, which is 67 New Zealand dollar. But yeah, I just know that so many people struggle with visualizing a future for themselves, visualizing achieving their goal, because it's something in the future that they haven't experienced yet. Whereas it's so easy to visualize all the things you experienced it and projecting it into your reality again and again. And that's why you're always kind of also repeating the same mistakes, maybe going through the same pattern and not really growing from it, because it might feel just so hard for you to visualize something that you haven't experienced yet. And honestly, it is so powerful once you know how to do this, once you do this every day, every week, once you reflect on your life monthly, which we do in the Mindful Living Collective. So yes, I hope this episode inspired you, motivated you to know you don't have to know the end goal, or you don't have to know how to get to the end goal. And yeah, that's it. I hope you have an amazing day.